Good morning. The purpose of this gathering is not only to say Tehillim for Am Yisrael, wherever they may be, it's also to bring into focus a little bit what is happening. Many people are concerned, rightly so, but most of the people, the majority of Am Yisrael, unfortunately, is not focused. What is exactly happening? What should we make out of the situation in Eretz Yisrael today? Is it possible for us to interpret a little bit based on what Chazal tell us and what the Nevi'im tell us? And the reason why it's important for us to interpret is those words were not said in vain. Those words by the Nevi'im thousands of years ago were said ledoreh dorot, for future generations, for us to have chizuk, for us to be encouraged, for us to be strengthened, for us to be able to understand slightly what is about to happen. So I think what needs to happen now is for people to hear words of chizuk, words of itorerut, and hopefully these words will help us focus in realizing that everything that happens in the world is not b'mikre, is not by chance, but by be'ashgocha protis. Everything happens by divine providence. Hashem is involved in every aspect of what's going on now in the world. What many of you perhaps did not realize, and I'm not a Navi to say that I do understand, but to me it's obvious that the fact that we had a major hurricane in the East Coast so recently, where Jewish people, entire communities were affected, and here again, entire Jewish communities, the entire Jewish nation is being affected, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that the fact that one comes on the heels of another is very, very significant. But still, what could this all mean? For those who read Jewish history and are familiar somewhat with events of the past, they may say, well, this is nothing new. You know, we've been dealing with Arabs, we have enemies, we say it in the Agada of Pesach, Bechol dor vador omdim aleinu lechalotenu. They want to destroy us, they're after us, anti-Semitism is rampant. It's true, it's nothing new, but this is different. We are now at the heels of Mashiach. This is not 1855. This is not 1500. We're at the heels, at the threshold of Mashiach, and therefore the events are much more related to the very, very imminent coming of Mashiach, obviously. But still, what's interesting about all of this is that we know for a fact, we have a tradition, a clear tradition, that everything that happens during the week is merumas in the Parsha. Everything has to do with what the Parsha says. The Parsha and the Haftorah. And it's interesting how in the Parsha we find a very unusual situation. And that is Rivka, Baruch Hashem, she becomes pregnant. But she has a very unusual pregnancy. She has very, very strange feelings. She goes through, as the Medrash says, through a bet avodah zarah, and all of a sudden one part of her stomach is kicking. She goes through the Bet Medrash entrance, and another part of her stomach is kicking. What's all this all about? I'm sure she asked her friends. I'm sure she asked many women, and they all told her, this is not a normal pregnancy. We didn't feel like that. So what is this? And they tell her in the Bet Medrash, Shnei goyim bevitnech. You're right, this is an unusual situation. You have twins. But what's so unusual about twins? What's unusual about them is that these are no ordinary twins. These are twins that will eventually become major, major nations and peoples. Shnei goyim bevitnech, who are going to be opposite, very different from each other, not identical twins at all. And what else happens during this time of the pregnancy? There's a key word there that says, Vayitrotzetzu habanim bekirba. The kids were struggling. Why struggle in the stomach? Wait till you come out. This is all remez. Obviously the words in the Torah are important, they're precious, they're not wasted. Every word means something. The Torah is letting us know that this fight, this struggle that you feel now is going to be unfortunately a struggle for many, many generations to come. Esav and Yaakov will be at each other's throat. Unfortunately. This will be something forever. But wait a minute, I thought we were dealing with Yishmael now. You may ask, well, it's the Arabs, it's not Esav. Well, if you read the end of the Parsha, Esav marries into Yishmael. Today they're all one. And in the President of the United States, you have the two of them too. Yeah. If you know, it's not a coincidence. Esav and Yishmael are joining forces. Now they're not yet together 100%, but they are together in a sense, especially when it comes to a common agenda to fight the Jews. As these kids, the twins, are growing up, we find that they're very different indeed in their personalities, in their predisposition, in what they prefer. And Esav is an ish sodeh, ish yodeh atzayid. He's a man of the field. He's materialistic. He's physical. He loves the pleasures of olam hazeh. And Yaakov Yishtam Yoshev Ohalim, he's more of a spiritual man. He's more interested in learning Torah. And that's, of course, a very, very big difference between two individuals. But that's not it. There's an interesting episode in this week's Parsha that Esav sells the Bechorah to Yaakov. Bechorah? There's no Kehuna yet. There's no Beis HaMikdash yet. Who needs to hear about Bechor? Who's the firstborn? What importance does the Bechorah have, being the firstborn? Who cares? But obviously, the Meforshim explain Bechorah has to do with Avodas Hashem, the service of Hashem. Esav is not interested in Avodas Hashem. He has nothing to do with it. He's interested in the pleasures of Olam Hazeh. That's all that interests him. Yaakov, Yishtam Yoshev Ohalim, is interested with spirituality. He's interested to have a relationship with Hashem. And therefore, the two are very, very not compatible. Some people might claim, well, wait a minute, it's okay. Let there be somebody like this and somebody like that. Why not? Kids are different. They don't have to be the same. No, that's not the case over here. What the Torah is letting us know is not that the two are acceptable. There's only one emes. The other one is sheker. So what you really have at the very, very root of this problem, of this differences, is emes and sheker. You don't have two ways of life. One is the truth and one is not the truth. Avodah Zorah is called avodah, but it's Zorah. It's strange. It's foreign. It's opposite and contrary, not compatible with the real avodah, which is avodas Hashem. So therefore, one is emes and one is sheker. The struggle of Vayisroitzetzu Avonim Bekirbo is therefore a struggle between emes and sheker throughout the entire 6,000 years until Mashiach comes. This is what we have to contend with. But that's not it. What happens later on in the Parsha, we break a little bit, and all of a sudden we see another unusual incident. Yitzchak with his wife go to Eretz Gerar. And for those of you who didn't learn the geography of Israel, Eretz Gerar is Ashkelon, Aza, Ezor Lachish, exactly where the main problems of today are. Where the Palestinians are, where most of the missiles are falling. What happens over there? What is he doing there? Obviously, we don't know Hashem's ways, but we do know that something very unusual happens there. Yitzchak digs wells, and the Pelishtim, sounds familiar? Pelishtim. In this week's parsha, the Palestinians, they go ahead and they fill the wells with dirt. This particular episode of Pelishtim filling the wells with dirt and Yitzchak opening them up, uncovering them, giving them names, is so difficult to understand that even the Meforshim have a hard time understanding, what is this all about? Who needs to know about this? And there are many commentaries and explanations as to what these wells have to do with. But one thing is perhaps very obvious, at least to me, that uncovering the dirt from the wells of Torah, means that it is very important for every one of Am Yisrael who is at least a little bit familiar with the Torah and knows what is happening, to remove the dirt from the eyes of many Jews who are unaware that Mashiach is coming. They're not paying attention, they're asleep, they're not doing tshuva, they're not preparing themselves. It is important for us. All these gatherings are therefore important because we talk about this, we pray for this, we ask for it. Some people are not asking, don't you want Mashiach to come? Don't you want all of this misery to end? So their eyes are filled with dirt, their eyes are closed. There's a certain hester, there's a certain concealment, of course, from Shamayim, but it's up to us to uncover it and to reveal it. And of course, that was the main mission, I think, or one of the missions of the Lubavitcher Rebbe Zecher Tzadik Levracha, was to bring that awareness to the entire world, not just to his Hasidim, not only to his group in New York, but everywhere, wherever there's a Chabad house. That's one of the ideas, besides the Achdus, besides the Simcha, besides the Avodas Hashem, is to give the Jews the chizuk they need to focus properly, because their eyes are closed. They're asleep. They don't realize. And these eyes have been closed with what? With the sheker of Esav, with all the lies of Esav. You know, if I wouldn't be hearing the news or reading it, I would never believe what the wicked goyim are saying. Could you imagine Syria got up and said, stop the barbaric Jews from killing innocent victims, innocent people. What are they doing to their own people? So the fact that people can be so hypocritical and talk like that shows you clearly what the sheker is all about. Sheker does not know of emes. Sheker has to speak the language of sheker. It's pure sheker. Same thing with the Turks. The Turks are screaming. This is barbarity. Stop them. And what are they doing to the Kurds? So all these goyim, you see the sheker clearly in their eyes. So the question is now, what can we do? Is there anything we can do or just wait? It's important to realize that being inactive is not a good thing. People talk about inactivity as being unhealthy to the physical body. But inactivity is also unhealthy for the neshama. The neshama, the Jewish neshama, has to be continuously active. We have a routine every day of Torah, of chesed, of tefillah. We have to have this continuous routine. We cannot be inactive. The reason why people are inactive sometimes is because they don't realize the words have power. Tehillim has power. Tefillah has power. And so they're inactive. It's very dangerous. Words have tremendous power. So what can we do? There's an incredible Zohar that most people unfortunately have never heard of. The Zohar explains, okay, we have this big difference between Esav and Yaakov. But why should Yaakov suffer? Yaakov, after all, got the blessings, Why should he suffer? So the Zohar says, you know why? Not because he took the brachas. No, it has nothing to do with that. Esav cried. As soon as Esav heard what happened, he shed a few tears. And because of those tears, Am Yisrael is suffering. What does one thing have to do with another? Am Yisrael, in order for them to deserve the brachas, Yitzchak said, Vayaki taridu farakta olo me'al tzavarecha. Yaakov can only have the brachas if they deserve it, if they learn Torah. Otherwise, the brachas rightfully belong to you. So the Zohar says those tears are a big accusation against us if we don't do what's right, if we don't follow the derech ha'emes. And the only way we can remove those tears or extinguish the tears is either with tears of suffering or tears of tshuva and tefillah. Tears. Tears of tshuva or tefillah or tears of suffering. We've suffered a lot. The Holocaust was tears of suffering. We don't need those kind of tears. The Zohar says you can replace those tears. You can erase the tears of Esav with tears of tefillah, with tears of tehillim, tears of tshuva. I was looking up the pasuk in Yirmiyahu that speaks about Mashiach. The Mashiach will come about bebechi ubetachanunim ovilem. The Mashiach will bring Am Yisrael back with tears and with supplications. So I was wondering, what kind of tears are those? Are they tears of joy, perhaps? Bezrat Hashem, they will be. But Poshup Pshat, the simple meaning is, if you look at Rashi, bebechi ubetachanunim means with tears of tefillah. Tachanunim, tshuva. So he says clearly, we're talking about tefillah and tshuva. That's it. And you wonder why. Why should that make a difference? Why should tefillah make a difference? Why not just tshuva? Tshuva makes sense. Fix, repair, ask forgiveness, but why tefillah? This is also in this week's parashah. The key difference between Yaakov and Esav, besides emes and sheker, is what Yitzchak says. When Yaakov approached him and he did not know it was Yaakov, what did he say? Well, that's strange, he says. Hakol kol Yaakov vayadayim yedei Esav. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, so soft. He mentions the name of Hashem. But the hands, the fur, the smell, this is Esav. I'm confused, but he gave it the blessing anyway. It was meant to be min hashamayim. But this is the key. The words that Yitzchak said is the key for Am Yisrael to know. This is how we defeat Esav, with the kol. Our power, the power of Am Yisrael, is in the speech. What that means, of course, is we have to be careful with Lashon Hara, because it's very damaging. But more so, to be proactive, not inactive, proactive in tefillah and in tehillim, because tehillim is very, very concentrated type of tefillah. I would just wish people understood the words they say. They're so beautiful, they're so powerful, it's incredible. Those words, I could never think of saying those kind of words. They're so powerful and so touching. Words have power, and therefore, bebechi b'tachanunim is the key to the geula, that we have to use our koach in prayer, koach of tehillim, and koach of tshuva. This is how we can bring it about. But there's one more idea, and that idea is expressed in the Haftorah of this week. Malachi, the last prophet of Am Yisrael, he basically closes the book of Nevuah. He says, Torat emet hayta befiyu. You want to be part of the Geula, you want to belong to Yaakov, you have to have the Midas HaEmes. Be honest, be truthful. Because if you're a liar, even if you're lying to yourself, you belong to Esav. And Hashem is basically calling out to all of Am Yisrael, Mila Hashem Elai, who wants to be in my camp? Wait a minute, we are in your camp, we put on tefillin every day, we keep Shabbos. No, that's not exactly what I meant. Mila Hashem Elai means you can't be a Parva Jew these days. You were a Parva Jew yesterday? Fine. Parv is unacceptable. You're either emes or sheker. There's no such a thing as in between. Anyone who knows that what he's doing is wrong, there are a lot of people that don't know that what they're doing is wrong. All right. But if you know what you're doing is wrong and not compatible with the Torah, with halacha, and you still do it, that's sheker. That belongs with Esav. It has to be corrected. Tshuva means that which we recognize is wrong, and we do something about it. We don't live with it. If you live with sheker, then you belong to sheker. Chas v'shalom. Hashem is calling out to everyone, Titen emet Yaakov chesed la'Avraham asher nishba'at l'avotenu mekedem. It's a pasuk in Tehillim. Hashem gave us chesed ve'emes, chesed from Avraham and emes from Yaakov. And where's this chesed today? Well, I think most of you are already aware how much chesed Am Yisrael is doing because of Sandy. Even though that caused suffering, it was a kapara, it was a tikkun, but the results, the consequences, it brought Am Yisrael together. With Achdus, with Tehillim, with chesed. Tremendous chesed is going on in New York. We should not have to come to this, so we should do chesed. Titen emes leYaakov v'chesed l'Avraham. These are the keys of the Geula. Bechi and tachanunim, which is tefillah and tshuva, chesed and emes. And to be proactive, not to be inactive, to do something in order to bring about the Geula. We hope that B'ezrat Hashem, through all these gatherings, to a tremendous amount of chesed and tefillah and tehillim, this month of Kislev, we will see tremendous nisim, just the way we had it in Bimei HaChanukah, nisim v'niflaot b'yamim hahem, it will also be Bazman Hazeh. Amen.